What's up, rock and rollers? It's me, Dr. Feelgood, back at you. Woo! Mr. Young asked me to come out, and boy, my hair is in my face. Whew. Mr. Young asked me to come out and teach you guys how to find trigonometric functions for any angle. So you guys are going to need a couple different things. You're going to need a calculator if you got one. Come in handy. Most importantly, you need your unit circle and those two special triangles from last week. Yeah. And then you also need to remember the 6 trig functions, right? There's sine, and the opposite of sine is cosecant. Cosine and secant are opposites, and cotangent and tangent, okay? We're going to cover a few different things today. First one is a reminder about reference angles, okay? We talked about this. Well, you guys did. I didn't. Talked about this a little while ago. How to find the reference angles for a couple of these. So, let's see if we can find the reference angle for negative 135. So we're going to draw that angle. Let's see. There's negative 90. Another 45 is right about there, so that's negative 135. And Mr. Young told you rockers, if you want to find the reference angle, always draw a line to the x-axis. So I'm going to draw that line right there, and this angle here is the reference angle. So since this is, see, negative 90, 45, that means this is 45 degrees. So the reference angle for 135, or negative 135, is 45 degrees, okay? Let's try this one here. Let's see, pi over 4, that's radians. Holy smokes. Well, I remember pi over 4 radians is 45 degrees. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. That's pi over 4. I'm going to draw my reference angle to the x-axis again, and since it gave it to me in radians, I got to give my answer in radians too. So the reference angle for this is pi over 4, okay? If you couldn't figure those out, look at this right here. You rock and rollers got this thing. 5 pi over 4 is right there, 225 degrees. So this thing will be super handy. Okay, so the first thing you need to be able to do is find reference angles for any angle. Okay, let's try one more here. Let's try this one. Let's try, here we go. Make it crazy. 300 degrees. So we're going to go 90, 180, 270, and another 30 would give us 300 degrees. So to find our reference angle, we're going to draw perpendicular up to the x-axis. Since this is 30 degrees, this one here must be 60 degrees. So our reference angle for 300 degrees is 60. Okay, so you got to be able to find reference angles, rockers. Next thing we're going to be able to do, once we know the reference angle for an angle, we want to be able to find all 6 of the trigonometric functions, okay? So, in order to do that, we need to know which quadrant is each one positive. Okay, remember there's 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? In this first quadrant here, sine is positive, cosine is positive, and tangent is positive, okay? And if sine is positive, that means cosecant's also positive. If cosine is positive, that means secant is. If tangent's positive, that means cotangent is. So in this first quadrant, everything is positive, okay? In the second quadrant, sine is positive, cosine is negative, because the x value, if we were to draw some sort of triangle in here, this would be our angle. Since the adjacent would be a negative number, that means cosine's negative, and tangent is also negative. So in quadrant 2, only sine is positive. So everything's positive here, sine there. If we get down to number 3, sine is negative, cosine is negative, and tangent and cotangent are positive. So in the third quadrant, tangent is positive. And then finally over here, in quadrant 4, sine is negative, cosine is positive, and tangent is negative. So in this one, cosine is positive. Okay, some math teachers will help you remember this by saying all students take calculus. I don't know about you rockers, but I find that to be factually inaccurate. Not all students take calculus. I can tell you right now, this rocker barely made it past Algebra 2 in school. So the way I remember it, all Satanists toast children. Okay? All Satanists, so that's sine, toast, so that's tangent, children. Not only is this factually accurate, I think, but it'll help you remember which is which, okay? So if that helps you remember it, rock on, okay? We're going to use that little bit of information along with our reference angles to answer a few questions, okay? First, we're going to find the tangent of negative 240 degrees. Then we're going to find the cosecant of 5 pi over 6. And then we're going to find the secant of 11 pi over 4. Okay? First, tangent of negative 240. If you have your unit circle, you probably have, or you could find negative 240 on there. So this would be negative 90, negative 180, and then we got another 60 degrees to go. So that is negative 240 degrees. If I want to find the reference angle, I draw a vertical line, and our reference angle is 60 degrees. On your sheet, you got the special triangles, right? One of the special triangles is the 30, 60, 90. And for a 30, 60, 90, the hypotenuse is 2, the short side is 1, and this side is the square root of 3. Okay, we're looking for tangent. Remember, tangent, SOHCAHTOA, is opposite over adjacent. So it's square root of 3 over 1, which is just square root of 3. Now we got to decide if this is positive or negative. So I remember all Satanists toast children. So the only thing that's positive in quadrant 2 is sine, which means since this is tangent, it must be negative. Does that make sense? Good. All right, let's try this one here. Cosecant of 5 pi over 6. Okay, 5 pi over 6, I remember 1 pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pi over 6. Okay, remember, if these radians confuse you, it's just another way of measuring. Like you could do temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit. You could do weight in pounds or kilograms. Okay, you can do angles in degrees or radians. So it's just another way to measure. Okay, this is pi over 6, or 30 degrees. That's my reference angle. Well, guess what? That's another one of them special triangles. So 30, 60, 90. The hypotenuse is 2. Short side is 1. Long side is square root of 3. We are looking for cosecant, which is the opposite of sine. So we're looking for hypotenuse over the opposite. So that would be 2 over 1, which is just 2. And then we need to decide if this is going to be positive or negative. So I remember all Satanists, so sine and its partner cosecant, are positive. That means this one's going to be positive 2. Okay, last one. Secant of 11 over 4. 11 pi over 4. So I know pi over 4 is 45 degrees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pi over 4 radians is right there. Find my reference angle, I go straight down to the x-axis, and since this is pi over 4, That means my reference angle is pi over 4, which is 45 degrees. Remember your 45, 45, 90 triangle. It's 1, 1, and the square root of 2. We are looking for secant, which is the opposite of cosine. So we're looking for hypotenuse over the adjacent. So that would be square root of 2 over 1, which is just the square root of 2. And then we need to decide, is that positive or negative? So all Satanists, so the only thing positive here is sine and its buddy. That means this must be negative. There we go. Okay? So you should be able to find the sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent of any angle of those special ones, right? Worst case scenario, if all else goes wrong, is you got your little calculator, okay? I'm going to show you on here. Right now your calculator is probably in degrees, okay? There's this button right here that says mode. If you look at the top one, that DEG is blinking. If I want to change it to radians, I push over sideways and push radians. So now it's in radian mode. So if I wanted to find, let's say, the tangent of negative 240, I go tangent of negative 240. Let's see, that'd be degrees though. Let's try cosecant then. Alright, cosecant is 1 over sine, so I'm going to do 1 over the sine of 5 pi divided by 6, and I get 2. Hey, guess what? That's what we got right there. So you can use a calculator for these if you have to, but it's nice to try them without the calculator, okay? So, things to remember. Reference angle, remember, always go vertically to the x-axis. Okay? Remember, all Satanists toast their children, so everything's positive here. Just sine and cosecant are positive there. That's T, so just tangent and cotangent, and then just cosine and secant right there. And remember those two special triangles, okay? You rockers, give this a try. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of Mr. Young. He would love to help you. And you guys, rock on.